Very honestly, you're honestly going to see a...
Could you give the slide back? Thank you.
No problem. Very honestly, what you're going to see today and hear today is why the hell aren't we doing it this way, and why the hell aren't we doing it this way? Being very honest. No 0 day, no dropping of tools, no dropping of trowel. Just.
So what is that?
Well, if I drop my trowel and you go, "What is there?" I've got problems. Okay. Okay. Are we recording? Ah, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, good morning. And I can't understand why any of you would actually show up at this ungodly hour of the morning. To me, this is, oh my God, early. But then again, Jack Daniel said he might be here, and I can't disappoint that dude. So let's get started. Aw, love you too, Jack. So let's get started. I basically, separating security intelligence and security FUD with added FUD is a favorite topic of mine, or one of my favorite topics, because, well, I got to thinking, why do we do things the way we do? And I asked, and nobody knew. Seriously, nobody knew. And I'll tell you where I asked. It's about the third line down, and, well, excluding the title. And the reason I actually have that specifically listed there is because that's where I asked. Why do we do it this way? It's a policy. Yeah, we'll get to that. So this is me. I'm Josh Marpet. I'm at Quadling on Twitter. You'll see that at the end slide again, that traditional questions slide. And here's all my contact info. I've done just about everything, and I mean that quite literally. In my bio, it specifically says that I've done every childhood dream occupation except astronaut, and by God, I'm working on it. You sons of guns in the space industry, get me into space one of these days. Hopefully not drunk, okay? I used to work at the Federal Reserve. I used to work all over the place. I'm one of those guys that's literally done, I mean, just everywhere. I'm an ex-cop, I'm an ex-fireman. I have, dear God, I'm an ex-blacksmith, I'm an ex-horse dentist. No, I'm not actually joking. I've been all over the country doing various jobs for various types of groups, some of which I can talk about, some of which I can't. I've done projects from video surveillance at the Lower Manhattan Surveillance Initiative and Newark Airport to video analytics for various political figures, for you name it. I've done physical security, information security, trying to convince people that there's no difference between physical security and information security, the whole 9 yards, okay? Buy me a drink, receive stories. We like this. Basically, well, my new day job is I work for a company called Guarded Risk. I also am Guarded Risk. We do a lot of stuff with legal firms, and we do a lot of stuff with basically convincing people that you need to plan ahead. Now, most people go, why? And I go, because it works and it's cheaper. And they go, okay. We're having limited success, but we're working on it. All images in here are credit of the internet. Mubix, I didn't steal any of his, and if he's here, no, he's not. Okay, I didn't steal any of yours. That's from a story, one of the first presentations I ever gave. I'm talking about video surveillance, and I have a picture of a camera in a ceiling, in one of those round ceiling tiles, they can rotate it, and the cord came out, like they snaked the cord through and plugged it into an outlet next to the camera. I was like, oh, fail! And I showed that image, and this dude, who I have no idea who he is, stands up and goes, that's my picture! And proceeds to use his iPhone and show me that he took the picture. And I was like, oh God. So ever since then, I've tried to convince Mubix I don't steal his images. He keeps accusing me of it and then giving me a hug, so I guess we're okay. So let's get to work. Security intelligence. What is security intelligence? It's actually knowing what the hell you're doing. Security intelligence is knowing, I have this, I do this. We do antivirus for this reason. We use passwords for this reason. You're like, well, I know all this stuff. Really? Are you sure? Let's talk. So Q1 Labs photo. I love this. This is an awesome photo. I actually gave them credit. Okay, FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We all know this, right? FUD. That's actually a brand of food. I did not Photoshop that. I like that. That's awesome. But that's not FUD. What's FUD? This is FUD. Can you read that? Oh, bloody hell. All right, it says we're going to install fake security cameras to encourage people to be more secure in the workplace. That's just security theater. All the world's a stage, and you're a highly paid actor. That's FUD. That's doing fake things to encourage better behavior, but not understanding why or what. Security theater, bullshit. Wow. Hang on. Is that actually bad? Yes. It's beautiful on my screen. It's all your fault. It's actually really bright on mine. Look, the views of security, that's an observatory views of security. Ooh, okay. A few things really changed my views on security over the years. And in this case, in terms of security intelligence, there's a couple of products and people that really changed my ideas. One of them was a product called Hector from UPenn. And the product is still, it's in beta / they're really working on it. They're awesome dudes. Hector from UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, is a product. It was the first time somebody said security intelligence is important because otherwise we don't know what we're doing. These guys really triggered me on this, okay? What they do is they let viruses happen in their network. They let people attack. They let things happen because otherwise they go, we don't understand. If you stop viruses at your border 100% of the time, the first time there's a virus that you can't stop because it overrides your AV, not that there's viruses that can bypass AV, right? Once it gets inside, you have no idea how the epidemiology will spread. Once it gets inside, you have no idea where it will go, what it will do, how it will happen. And these guys said, Hector said, you know, we need to know these things because we need to know the signs, signals, and ideas that are going to spring up. Somebody's going to call and go, my computer's acting funny. Is that intelligence? Yes, it is. That's a piece of information. But if you never have a virus, the first time you actually have a virus, you're going to get 50 people, my computer's acting funny, and you're not going to know what to do. But if you have a virus, even an ICAR, E-I-C-A-R, you know the ICAR virus, right? The virus tester. If you put that in something and spread it in your own network, is it going to hurt anything? Anybody use ICAR before? Is it going to hurt anything? No. But will it tell you that something's going on? Will your sensors pick it up? Oh, my sensors didn't pick up squat. That's a problem. That's not intelligence. Knowledge that you're not picking up squat is intelligence, actually. But the not picking up anything, not good. As well, Threat Modeler, which is a product that I've been playing with in the last couple of months. Interesting product. Anybody, I'm just kind of curious. Has anybody heard of Hector or Threat Modeler? Cool. Dropping new products. Okay. Hector is a security intelligence. Think of it as a vulnerability assessment scanner and SIM all in one. It doesn't actually do any vulnerability assessments on its own. What it does is it plugs in. You can plug in Nessus, you can plug in Nmap, you can plug in various tools. They're building plugins for all the different tools literally every day. The dude's awesome. You send him an email and go, you know, dude, I want to do a plugin for Retina. I was just talking to somebody about Retina. Don't scream at me or laugh. I want to do a plugin for Retina. He's like, okay, give me a couple of weeks, and he'll build it. Awesome dude. So you plug in your scanner of choice, and then it drops all the results into a SIM-like dashboard, but it also tells you on a daily basis what happens with the results. Have they changed? He's more interested in have the results changed over days, weeks, months, years than what are the results yesterday. So you're getting intelligence about what's going on in your network, what's going on in your hosts, what's going on in your servers, okay? Threat Modeler is a way of understanding what you have. How many people here have a network that there's a Visio diagram yellowed with age taped to the door of the server room? You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, well, we'll get into that in a second. Okay, wow, the pictures came out so crappy. Damn. All right, historical FUD. Does anybody have any executives that say these things? No, seriously. Who here has heard any of these from an executive before? Okay. Are any of them absolutely 100% true? But I have a padlock on my browser. That means it's safe, right? Isn't that SSL stuff like awesome? Well, it is kind of cool, but have you ever heard of a man in the middle? Self-signed certificates are awesomely cool because they're easy, right? That means it's still safe though, it's got that padlock. Look, these things are great. Spending more, I love getting a raise, not a problem, okay? But just because you're spending more money doesn't mean it's safe. Just because you have an IDS, IPS, you've got snort with every bleeding snort plug-in and signature, and you're like, we have pigs. Yeah, that doesn't help. I mean, it helps. It's good stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denigrating Snort and SourceFire and all those guys. They do great stuff, But it's not that I have the latest, greatest product. It's not that I have, biometrics, because I also have gummy bears. If anybody knows the story about gummy bears and fingerprints, it's that I have a good plan and I test my plan. By the way, that was the essence of my talk. No, just kidding. It really is the essence of my talk. If you don't know what you have, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're protecting against and for and why, and if you don't answer the who, what, when, these guys, you don't got squat. So, I'm going to give you one of my favorites. I use this all the time. Password changes. Okay, we have an audience poll here. How many people work in an organization that your password changes every 90 days? Okay, do me a favor. Good. 60. 45. 30. Anything shorter? Really? How short? Sorry? 14 days? There's lots of Post-it notes under keyboards where she used to work, okay? Why? Why 90? Why 60? Why 45? Why 30? Why 14? Dear God. Why? Does anybody know? Bing! Google, okay. Sorry? Sorry, start with you. And do you know where they got it? Anybody else? Any other reason? Seriously. It worked for my grandpappy, Jack. Might work for me too.
Bruce actually found a reference from the 80s on this based on how long it takes to guess a known password 30-something years ago. This is another one of those like rewriting hard drives 40 times on ladders we haven't used in 30 years.
Yeah, if you ever look, I do a lot of physical security stuff. If you ever look at the DoD specs on overwriting hard drives, there is none. There are like 17 different specifications, and none of them actually make any sense. They all go for this one study about with a scanning electron microscope. I have a plan to rent a scanning electron microscope and look, because there's nothing there. Once you overwrite, you're done. Have a nice day. Okay? Not delete, overwrite. So with passwords, yeah, 30 years ago, you could have a monkey guess. All right? And now, we have a lot faster processors, a lot faster everything. We can guess passwords. How many people here have used password cracking systems? THC, Hydra, John. Is anybody not? Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. How fast does it take to guess the average password on a regular system? You go to pen test or audit any day of the week. Seriously, give me a number. Sorry? Half an hour. How long does it take to guess one of those admin or root passwords on most systems, most servers, most places? 30 minutes. Still, it's half an hour, by the way. In half an hour, I can get your admin passwords. I went on one engagement about a month ago, where this was a government agency, and we had the administrative passwords in under 30 seconds. Because they had set their password complexity requirements to 3 characters. No special characters, no numbers, just 3 characters. It wasn't hard. We said basically at that point, hey guys, we're done. And they went, no, you haven't shown that you can break into everything. So we said, you see that modem right there that's still hooked up and blinking? Yeah, we're done. So why 30 days? It takes me Less than 30 minutes. This is one of my favorite ones because everybody has password change, right? Everybody does it 30, 60, 90. Well, I can't make people change it any more frequently, you know. I was just talking to Integral downstairs, and he goes, yeah, look, I can do it in half an hour to an hour. Change them every 8 hours. Make your users change passwords every 8 hours. I went, what? He goes, like it's gonna matter? Good point. So, anyway, I apologize. This is really what I think. I mean, it's like, why do we do these things? We don't know what we do, when we do, how we do it, why we do it. It's worthless. Stuck on this slide. There we go. This is where we get FUD. We get it from our peers, we get it from our bosses, we get it from our colleagues, we get it from conferences. I've gone to conferences, not this one's actually pretty good. I've gone to conferences and gotten FUD. I went to, it's a vendor fest, but I went to Techno Forensics. Anybody heard of that? I actually, if anybody knows me, I'm A, a professional loudmouth, and B, a professional heckler. I say this because I've actually gotten paid to heckle people. Mostly afterwards by people going, dude, you're awesome. But there was one guy for a large company who I won't name, Crawl On Track, and he said what to do, and I do a lot of forensics. So I was like, oh, this guy's from a reputable company, and he's going to talk about what to do when your evidence goes bad. And I'm thinking, oh, when your forensic copy is wrong or the hash doesn't work, let me go see this, And he proceeds to talk about how if you want to do forensics, turn it over to people that know how to do it. You're not an expert. You don't know what you're doing. Do you know how to do a clean room? Because we have clean rooms. I look at him and I go, have you ever heard of Scott Moulton? He went, no. I'm like, then you don't know the experts. Do you know what a clean room is? It's a cardboard box, a box fan, and a HEPA filter on a table, blowing the clean air across you. He went, no, it's not. I went, check the specifications from ASCLD Labs. You're wrong. I had him in tears, literally in tears by the end of the talk. I felt no shame. None. So we get FUD from conferences, colleagues, blogs, articles, magazines. I used to be a sales engineer, so I know that FUD comes from salespeople. And most of the time that kind of FUD is honestly unintentional. They just literally have no idea what they're talking about. Yeah, it'll do that. How many people have had a salesperson tell them that, yeah, it'll do that when you ask a question about the capability of a product? It'll do that. And there's a sales engineer behind them, and you can always tell how truthful they are by how bad the reaction is. If the sales engineer's going, yeah, it's cool. Okay, we're good. If the sales engineer's going like, oh, geez. It's a modification or a configuration option, right? If the salesperson is going, and you can see that their pucker factor is dialed up to 10, no flippin' way it does that. So, just FYI, that was a lesson from a former sales engineer. There were times I'm literally going, and the customer looks over and sees me and goes, and I'm like, did you just put a check mark or an X? And he goes, check mark. I'm like, okay. On my phone, okay, we need to put this on the roadmap right now. Like literally while I'm in this meeting. Gets bad at times. Anyway, I'm sorry. I love stories. You didn't have to feed me a drink either. So, security intelligence versus FUD. Oh, damn it. The projector is too dark. You can't see that. Look, if you have data, you have security intelligence. That's the difference. If you don't have data, you have FUD. If you go, how did I end up here? And if you can't see it, there's a little dog in an inner tube going, what the hell am I doing in the water? Okay? But if you have data, you have intelligence. It's that simple. Look, you can change your passwords every 30 days if your password complexity requirements are enough to make it so that 30 days is a reasonable amount of time to crack them. If you don't have data, if you don't understand, you're in FUD land. That black screen thing is really annoying. There we go. Shh. There we go. Say that again?
If the SE, when presented with one of those questions, asks where the user is, it doesn't come back as something.
There's a problem. Okay, so where do we get security intelligence? I've told you need it, but where do you get it? It's cute. Oh, damn it. That's a tiger shark made of barbed wire. That's a log made of walls. Sorry, a wall made of logs. A log made of walls. Whoa, okay. Josh should have left the party earlier last night. Oh, thank you. Firewall logs. You like it? And when you do that, you have to do that. Oh, damn it. Bow to my firewall. And I only put that in like about 30 minutes ago, so all I had was like the 110 pixel graphic from the t-shirt guy. But I had to put that in because the Potters are here. So, bow to my firewall. But firewall logs, Wireshark, honeypots, these are all places you get security information. Now, are there tools that you can use to get security information? Yes, of course. No! Oh, damn it. That's annoying. All right, I have listing up there, but you can't see it. I mentioned Hector. I mentioned Threat Modeler. There's a couple of other good tools. By the way, my slides will be up. Don't worry, you can get all these stuff, including all my notes. I've made sure they're in there. Awesome from Alien Vault, although I think they've just pulled that project. Conrad Constantine did a great presentation on Awesome. He was doing a semantic web SIM. It's really neat. Awesome is spelled A-W-E-S-I-E-M. Awesome. Haha. He was making it open source and free. I don't know if he actually got to release the code before Alien Vault pulled the project, but it was a great presentation on how a SIM should actually work. Security intelligence in general should be connectable very, very easily, and it should be redeployable, reconnectable very, very easily. And all these tools that I'm listing do that kind of thing. What do I mean reconnectable? Well, if I say that Jack Daniel and Ian Amit are a cause and effect, and I realize there's not a cause and effect relationship. It's actually Jack Daniel causes angst, not Ian. I want to be able to change that relationship quickly, not just in the one place, but in all the places that he causes angst. Oh, damn straight. So there's Hector, there's Awesome, Threat Modeler, OSSIM, which is another product from Alien Vault, good stuff. Security Onion, amazing set of tools. If you've never looked at Security Onion, why the hell not? Honest to God, go look at it. Amazing stuff. And I have all the URLs for all of this in the notes for this presentation, so don't worry about finding them. Just get my prezo. Okay, so metrics. What are metrics? Oh, dear God. If I had Josh Corman up here, he'd be running at me with a bat, okay? Either that or like grabbing the mic away, because that dude loves metrics. There's a lot of people in security that love metrics, but what kind of metrics are we talking about? Well, sometimes, metrics are a little overwhelming, okay? And you got to be careful. So you can collect terabytes of data, but you have to be able to use it. But let's talk about where we're going to collect it. What kind of things are we going to collect? How about how long does it take for an exploit to get from proof of concept at, DEF-CON? Do they actually drop exploits at DEF-CON anymore? To when it actually hits the wild and when it actually hits me. Can you track those times? Yes, you can. Because you can look up, Google is my friend, when the proof of concept code was released, see that it hit your firewall logs, see that it hit your honeypot, see that it hit your whatever at X date. Okay, you've got X and Y dates, track it. What's the actual cycle of time? Don't take Gartner's word for it. Do it yourself. Okay? Because if you don't do it, you don't know what it's like for your vertical. You don't know what it's like for your company. How many people here have different assets that they're guarding than the person next to them? Probably all of you, unless you're coworkers, in which case that really doesn't work well. But seriously, I mean, some of you guard dollars, some of you guard information, some of you guard trade secrets, some of you guard national security, some of you guard your personal porn collection. I don't care. Some of you guard executive porn collections. We're not going to go there. Some of those are illegal. We're really not going to go there. Anyway, but the point is, unless you know what you're guarding, unless you know how fast it gets to you, how fast your passwords can be cracked. I know, I keep harping on this, don't I? But is it worth it being harped on? If you don't know what you're doing, you can't get it fixed. You can't protect. So how about developer code quality measurements if you work for a development organization? Does anybody here track the quality of the code that you turn out from your developer organization? Really? because you're the ones that have to protect it. Now, I don't just mean the code repository and keeping it from being stolen. I mean when they come to you and go, hey, we need a security consultation. Do you try to hide under your desk? Or do you go, let's go, dude. You've got an SDLC that includes security. We're okay, let's go talk about it. All right, because if you have a development organization, they better be writing secure code. You better be involved. Track the quality of the code they write. How about, what network do I have? What the hell do you mean, what network do I have? I've got VLANs, I've got switches, I've got routers, I've got all this stuff, right? Try this. In 2008, this is off the top of my head, 2008, the last remaining token ring network was removed from a company I worked at. They probably process your paycheck. 3 letters, Roseland, New Jersey, no comment. Okay? 2008. They literally came around, the network administrators came around and went, we still have this crap? They didn't know. They found out because one of the token ring repeaters hubs died. And they had people calling and going, our stuff doesn't work. They still had computers that used token ring. They had there was one old guy, and I mean old by grizzled, wizened, ancient, came out of a mouse hole type guy. Had his office that had been there since 1943. And he was the one that maintained the token ring. He goes, yeah, I can't find any more of those on the market anymore. Really? Who would have thunk that? Jeez. Anyway, I digress. So, which sensors catch the best data? Which sensors need the least tweaking upon installation? Which compliance metrics are we actually meeting? Which ones aren't we meeting? There's lots of things you can check, you can look for, you can measure. Okay, I'm gonna skip this. Actually, no, I'm not. This is hilarious. Going back to the developer quality, code quality measurements. Looks like Fred isn't a good developer. Why not? Well, his bugs are always rated higher, extremely high, or urgent, or pick your whatever you use for high, critical. Well, oh, don't count that. Why? Well, his ego is so big that we have to mark everything better than everybody else's. Wouldn't better be lower? Oh no, he wants everything that he does to be critical. I've actually seen this happen in real life. I fell off my frickin' chair when I saw this. I love this quote. There's an actual, I looked it up, I checked Snopes, it's real. Read it. Remember it, this is awesome. 'Cause it's true. Okay. What are you measuring against? So now we've got, I know what I want to measure. What are we measuring against? What do you mean? I measured against the data. Remember, still need to know what you're looking at, what you're doing. Have you diagrammed your network? Does that network in yellow paper, crumpled and faded, hang on the back of your server room door? Because if it does, it's not real. All right? You want to use Visio, go to town, keep it updated. You want to use Threat Modeler to diagram out what you have. Or as a pen tester, by the way, use Threat Modeler to walk in and go, hey, what have you got? And they tell you, and you just drag and drop boxes like Visio, but it's kind of cool. Check it out. You can do that. What about when you go for an audit and the auditors go, hey, did you make this change from 4 years ago that nobody ever told you about? You go, hang on, and you look at your diagram, and you go, yeah, we did. It's a lot easier to do it when you know what you're looking at, when you know what you're doing. I know, this is really basic, isn't it? We all know we got to diagram our networks. We all know we got to diagram our applications. We all know we got to do this stuff. How many of you do it? Wow. Echoing show of silence. Not a single hand was raised. I like audience participation. It shows how bleak my world is. So, you know, it's tough to do all this stuff, but we still have to do it. And if you don't have the time, if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the things to do your job, either your job is not working out really well, or it's not going to work out really well sometime in the future. That's a hint. Okay? Seriously. Because if they don't give you the resources you need to do your job, you got problems, dude. Ladies, same thing. I say dude, forgive me. All right. So we use the systems to collect data. And that was just too cute, I had to use it. We collect a lot of data. Gigabytes, terabytes, I don't know. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of freaking data. How many people here have used Wireshark, forgot to turn the collector off, and gone, holy crap, my PCAP is monstrous? Yeah, okay. How many people have used Wireshark, realized I have to leave the PCAP open for 20 minutes and went, I'm dead? Okay, because you get that much freaking data off that span port. So, sometimes data is overwhelming, right? Sometimes data is just freaking overwhelming, but we still have to collect it. All right, next step. Hector, by the way, is a great way to collect data. This is what I was talking about before. I forgot to put the screenshot in here. Yeah. This is Hector. This is a really quick screenshot from when it went out and ran Nmap. All it did was run Nmap, and you can see the UPenn. Please don't hit any of these IPs; they'll be pissed at me. And it just says, hey, they set a filter for 7 open ports or more, and I went and looked because they realized anything with 6 open ports, they went mail, web, okay, but anything more than 7 open ports, that was one of their filters, one of their collection points. And this is great. Now I've got data. I know which hosts at which IPs have more than 7 open ports. I can sort by port, which is another tab, and then all I have to do is go, oh, these ports are fine, eliminate these, and over time, they're going to develop a profile of what their normal settings are, and they're going to develop an anomaly profile. See, the whole idea of this is, I don't care what your AV is. I don't care what your anti-malware is. I don't care what your firewall says. I really don't. What I want to know is the same thing that any cop wants to know. People, places, time. Where are people, computers? Where are they? Who are they? And when are they? I know that there's a computer, a server in my system that every morning at 3 a.m. dials out to get updates. Okay? And I say dials out, I'm old, you know what I mean. Goes looking for updates for various different things. All right? That's acceptable. That's not an anomaly. When it goes off at 4 in the morning, I go, what, huh? What happened? But if I don't have anybody telling me it went off at 4, not 3, I'm screwed. Again, intelligence, information, profiles. They're developing a profile. So, this is how I feel a lot of the time. There's a flipping endless hole, and I'm digging to find the diamond at the bottom of it. Anybody else feel that way every once in a while? When you're looking for intelligence, when you're going through forensics, when you're doing a pen test? Normally with a pen test, I'll be honest, it's you scrape off a 3-inch layer of dirt and there's a fucking treasure chest right there. But, those are the pen tests. You're like, hey, 30 minutes later, we're done. Can I have my money, please? Dave, you ever run into any of those? And you ever run into the ones where you're like, God, I need to find something so I can justify the expenditure? He's like, I don't talk about those. But a lot of times you want to compare, you want to interpret, you want to basically figure out what the hell you're doing. The basics apply, okay? You have already found out, you've already discovered your entire network. You've already looked at and diagrammed and seen everything you have, right? You've collected your data, mapped the one to the other. You basically go throw it in a dashboard, throw it in a sim, throw it in Hector, throw it in whatever, and say, does the one match the other? Are there anomalies? Are there profiles? Have I built up a stable of information and profiles and filters to do what I need to do, okay? I can't tell you how to do that for your organization. I mean, I can if you hire me. Just kidding. But I can't tell you how to do that for your organization, okay? Everyone's different. I told you, I'm not dropping 0 days here. I'm telling you basic common sense stuff that nobody seems to think about. And it bugged the hell out of me, and I said, I'm going to do a talk, okay? So you have to manage your information, collect it, interpret it, analyze it, and distribute it. That's where we fail a lot of the time. Who here has said, hey, your firewall logs have been showing an anomaly for 3 weeks. Did you guys not notice it? Oh yeah, we noticed it. Oh cool, what'd you do? Well, we filed a report. With who? With this email box that we're supposed to file all our firewall reports to. Who does it go to? We don't know. That's just the policy. So you check. You go to the email administrator and you go, who does this mailbox go to? It's a distribution list for like the executives and the high-ranking security people and the CISO and all those people, right? And you go, no, why? What do you mean no? It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a repository. Are you joking? No, it was just a repository. Does anybody ever run into that? I see at least one person going, yeah, okay, this is what happens. You have to distribute the information. We fall down a lot there. That's why I mentioned it. So, I mean, can we collect and interpret information? Yeah, there's a lot of things that'll do that for us. This, by the way, is Squirt. I think I spelled that right. Part of Security Onion. Okay? With dashboard, SIMs, I mean, events, signatures, sources, I mean, these are awesome. These tools are out there for free. Dear God, use them. We don't have any budget for new security tools this year. Can I use about 1 gig of bandwidth? Okay, why? I'm downloading Security Onion and installing it. It'll take me about 10 minutes. Okay? Use these things, please. There's no reason you shouldn't be using tools that can collect information, interpret the information for you, then all you have to do is email it to the right people and catch them in the hallway and beat them senseless. I mean, talk to them. Okay? I wanted to talk about this as well. Not really part of my original abstract, but threat intelligence. I keep getting asked, is threat intelligence security intelligence? The answer is no. But one does lead to the other. What's threat intelligence? Threat intelligence is knowing what's coming at me. How do I know what's coming at me? I don't know. Doesn't your security intelligence tell you some of these things? If I see proof of concept code at Black Hat, DerbyCon, B-Sides Las Vegas, B-Sides Delaware, shameless plug, wherever, and I realize that that hit my firewall about 3 months later, and I go, oh, there's a 3-month gap. That's information. And I realize that every time I see a proof of concept or exploit or 0 day or whatever for a financial institution, okay, against financial sort of systems, and I get hit with, I'm not a financial institution, I'm, let's say, an insurance broker, but I keep getting hit with it. I got to think, wait, do people think I'm a financial institution? No, but you're a gateway to one. Insurance companies and financial institutions have a lot of interconnections. You've got to realize you need to look out for threats that are not just against insurance companies, but financial institutions. You need to figure out which verticals you're connected to and do things about that. Okay? So threat intelligence and security intelligence, I mean, these are all, yeah, not so much. Okay? But I had to do it, I'm sorry. Look, threat intelligence and security intelligence are complex. Anybody ever seen a semantic web printout or display? That's one. It's unbloody pleasant. But once you pare it down, it actually gets to, something pretty straightforward. This is a threat. When you filter, when you interpret, when you collect, when you data mine, it works. So threat intelligence is basically part of security intelligence. And security intelligence is part of threat intelligence. They're very closely interlinked. If I know my assets, if I know what they are, if I know how they've changed, if I know what I'm connected to, if I know what I have, if I know what's going to hit me, what I'm being hit with, and I know how it works and how I can protect against it, then I'll know what's going to hit me using threat intelligence as part of security intelligence. And I'll know how to be secure. 100%? Is anything ever 100% secure? Dave raised a hand? Just kidding, I couldn't resist. Dave's like, I'm 100% secure. I was gonna totally bust you on that, but I couldn't resist. Okay. There's a lot of intelligence bulletins out there. There's a lot of ways to get threat intelligence. If you want to, I'll talk to you about that later. You gotta test your data. You gotta make sure that your data is correct. If you think that you're getting hit with every financial Trojan 2 months after they hit 0-day drop, find a 0-day drop for a financial Trojan and predict the day that it should happen and see if you get hit. Okay? If you can't use data to predict, you're not collecting the right data. And there are issues with data too. Make sure you protect against bias, trolling, influencing of data. If you've got a security CISO who says, we are a financial institution, we're only going to protect against Zeus, Flame, a couple of other things. And you go, hey, dude, there's a lot of other stuff out there. No, No, that's bias. Come on, seriously? I didn't list idiocy in my list here, but I probably should have. There's a lot of reasons that data can be bad or biased or wrong. Check all your data, test your data, make sure it works right. You can read that, right? Good. So, when you test your data, when you collect your data, when you have it done right, you get results. You get money. Really? No, seriously. You get to be the best security department around. You get a raise. Your budget gets increased. Unless you get too efficient and you don't use part of your budget, then they take it away. That sucks. So remember, Use your budget. Use your budget, all right? There's always ways to spend a little extra money. Take your guys on a trip to Hawaii. Be careful with that one. That's ugly. You know, you see Dave's hair? He took his guys to like Kansas and they still got him bald. Joke. Some issues, when you really do security intelligence, there are some disadvantages. I'm going to go over them really quick. You actually have to let them run. What do you mean? You might actually have to let an issue develop in order to understand it. You might actually have to allow a mini breach of sorts. So what we do is we try to minimize them. There's lots of ways to do that. There's honeypots, there's in-process attack systems, people call them different things, but it's when you go, oh, look, somebody's here, put them in the bullshit meter, the bullshit systems, okay? There's all sorts of ways to do it, but sometimes you have to let systems and problems and issues develop in order to protect against them. Excuse me. That's a disadvantage, but it can be an advantage in the long run. It can be an advantage in the long run, okay? Bosses screaming, fix this now. Make it hard to let that happen, okay? I was actually talking to a coworker who told me a great story. He went to run an Nmap scan that was in scope on a system, production system. Does Nmap break things if you tone it down? I mean, seriously, if you're just running a basic straight Nmap scan, is it gonna break things normally? No, not normally. Unless the guys who transfer code from QA to production built a system to do this, automated it, and then bound it to a port with no authentication. So you send a name to this port, and it goes and grabs that port from the QA server and transfers it to the production server. And if you send it BS packets, Nmap stuff, it's going to go and try and find that on the QA server and then transfer it to the production server. Good idea? Not so much. So, got to be careful with stuff. His bosses came out the door, like literally, it was kind of funny. He's like, wow, I could see my entire org chart. They were standing in line, screaming, fix this. Okay? But, so be careful. Bosses screaming, fix this now makes it tough. And if you become more efficient, you have to look busier, they take budget away. Those are the real disadvantages. So, that's me. That's it. We're done. Do understand what you have, what hits you, what you're protecting against, or you can't protect it against what's going to hit you. Pretty straightforward, really unpleasant to put into practice, but it's worth it in the long run. However, if you're up to your ass in alligators, it's hard to think about draining the swamp. That's the problem. And if you're old like me, you understand what I just said. All right, questions? Yeah, cool. Did I mention about using Budget Up? There's a lot of SIM tools out there. There's actually some good ones. Make sure you get the right one for you because there's very, very vastly different. I mean, we can name SIMs off the top of our head. There's ArcSight, there's Q1, there's one I just saw the other day. They're like, next generation SIM. I'm like, could you define that, please? EO something or other. There's a lot of tools out there that cost a lot of money. There's a lot of free tools out there. They're amazing and don't cost anything. Well, they're free, duh. If your boss says, I don't want the free open source tools, you can get like one of the tools that are free but with paid support, so you can at least trial it and then buy the commercial support, and that makes them happy a lot of times, okay? There's a lot of tools that have trial versions. So, okay, no, we're just trying the trial version, boss. If it works, we're gonna spend $1 million. I've done it. It works. It depends on your boss, depends on your organization. Any more questions? Does that make sense? Those damn hackers. Yeah, and that's fine, and that's true, but if they're planning on me leaving, I'm out of there anyway. So. Any more questions? Yeah. I love janitor. Go ahead.
I can't really describe it, but I'm working at a customer site. If I run backtracker, would agree in the RV fire backtrack. What comes up
Root and Tor?
Chinese characters.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Customer flips out. Turn that off. That becomes a 2-hour meeting on, you can read these tools. These tools are backed by, this company, and you're looking at practice in your free time.
You know, you're going to have customers that are sensitive to anything you do, everywhere you go. I've been to customers that were like, and I'm being honest and mildly rude. I went to a customer once, and there was like 4 of us, 3 or 4 of us, I forget. And they looked at them and they said, okay, you two can stay, you, meaning me, have to go. And I went, what'd I do? And I'm not joking, and it's horrible. And I'm not going to name them under any circumstances. They're out of business. They looked at me and said, you're Jewish, you have to leave. And I went, bye. And I went to the boss and I said, what do you want me to do? And he goes, well, I mean, you're unacceptable for the position there, for the engagement there. And I went, you're still paying me. And he went, well, I said, religion. He went, oh yeah, protected class. Yeah, we're paying you. Okay. Honestly, look, you're going to run into weirdness, stupidity, idiocy everywhere you go. Is anybody going to deny that? Hands? Anybody think that's wrong? Okay, good, because I'm right. You got to deal with it. When you run into things like that, specifically Chinese characters for backtrack, you basically need to either you should have realized that. If that was your first meeting with the customer, you got a problem, because you should be there, or your team lead should be there to talk about the tools that you're going to be using. Otherwise, your sales droid is going to be going, oh yeah, they're just going to be using DOS and Windows 3.1. That's it. That's it. We all know those are good, right? So you should have been there, or your team lead should have been there to say, hey, they're going to be using Backtrack, we're going to be using Nmap, we're going to be using Nessus, we're going to be using Metasploit, we're going to be, whatever, it's Cobalt Strike, whatever it is that you're using, that should have been laid out in advance. Like you said, it was. Okay. Well, then what we can do is go to offensive security and go, hey, we need the WASP version of Backtrack. But very seriously, you sort of need to get the feeling for these people. I mean, bring up Backtrack, run it in your meeting to take your notes with, see what they do. You got to test this stuff out. With a customer that's as sensitive as that, whew, you're in. No, totally legit. I honestly, I was like, really? That happened to you? I was like, damn. You bill them for the 2 hours? That's the end result. You just bill them for that extra 2 hours and go have a smoke or a coffee. That's honestly what you're going to have to do. Sorry, man, that's just the way it is. More questions? Anything? Well, I'm a little early. I told you from the beginning, it's an explanation talk and a common sense talk, and it was. I want to ask you for a question. Did it make sense? Was it interesting, and did you learn anything? You probably didn't learn much, but did it put it together in a way that made sense? Appreciate it. I always like to get a little feedback. Thank you very much.